Okay, it is Thursday, June 14th, and this is a meeting to check in on outreach tasks for Backdrop CMS. Let's see. The goal for outreach is to get more people talking about Backdrop. We have a couple of things we're working on the website that might help to that end. We have some coming changes to the modules, themes, and layouts pages, and also things like how search works and helping people find out like which modules, themes, and layouts they're using in Drupal, and if they're ready for Backdrop or not. There's also a recent issue to create a page in our handbook about how Backdrop handles security. It's a question we get a lot, and with all of the recent security updates, we have a pretty good process for that, but I don't think it's properly communicated to everybody how that works. So I think there's an issue in the backdropcms.org queue. I didn't grab a link for the meeting, but I would love it if somebody would help me write some content for that. We have the folks at Facet are willing to help us write content. If we can make them a bolded list, they'll turn it into a nicely formatted article for us. So if we don't get any volunteers for that, I might just send them over a list and see if we can get them going on some content, and then we'll at least have something to review and revise. Other things we're working on are blog posts for the website. So right now, I have a draft of a blog post announcing our membership with the Software Freedom Conservancy that the Facet folks wrote for us, which I think is pretty great. It basically just says the same thing that their announcement says, that we're going to be part of the Conservancy. It doesn't say any more details about like what that might mean for Backdrop, but there is a little plug there for your donations are now tax deductible, and we can embed the donate button, which I think is a good first step. Right now, we have one little hiccup with the Conservancy's donate system, is that we send people t-shirts and hoodies if they give us donations for $25 or $50. The Conservancy's donation form starts at $75. So it kind of immediately prices out those lower level donations that we were getting. And we don't have don't mind the dog. We don't have a form that allows people to choose the sizes of their t-shirts or hoodies when they make that donation that's hooked up to the Conservancy account. And so we're working with them to figure out how to solve that problem. It might be as easy as kind of jerry-rigging up our own PayPal donation form. If we can figure out like what ID we need to pass in to hook it up with their account instead of ours, we might be able to continue using our form. We don't necessarily need to use their form builder tool for that. But I wanted to test that first and see if it worked. But there was a larger conversation around the way that we're labeling t-shirts and hoodies. Right now we're offering them as sort of thank you gifts for the donation, but that's not, I mean, really when someone gives us money for a t-shirt, we get like a $5 donation. There's a very small margin there that contributes to Backdrop. And the way that most of their other organizations work is it's usually at a much higher level when they start to give thank you gifts. So if people wanted to make a $25 donation, the $25 actually goes to Backdrop, and it's only when they reach the $60 or $100 level that they start to get thank you gifts, because then you really are thanking them for the donation. As to right now, we're just like thanking them for being interested in Backdrop. And so for places that are selling things for minor profit, like we're doing right now, those are really called sales of items as opposed to thank you gifts for donations. So they had some recommendations around how we might want to properly term things so that if people are interested in making a donation, they'll understand that buying a t-shirt isn't going to make a big difference to the Backdrop organization. So I think that might be useful to kind of follow their guidance there, but we will need to rework the way our current system works for t-shirts and hoodies. We also talked a little bit about like the amount of time it takes to manage like sending out t-shirts and hoodies by mail. I mentioned that the majority of the t-shirts and hoodies that we hand out are usually at conferences where there's a lot less overhead if you can get rid of like 10 or 20 at once rather than having to mail them all individually. And I usually only have to mail like 6 items a year. It's not very much. So I'm happy to keep managing the stock and the people who do make donations online, I think that the majority of when we hand out that stuff, it is in person. So they seemed okay with that. But there might be some changes coming in terms of our website, in terms of how we frame t-shirts, hoodies, and donations. So just a heads up on that. I don't know if that needs to go in our blog post because we haven't figured it out yet, but it is something we're working on.
Then I have a question.
Yes.
With regards to the tax deductible thing, do we know which countries this applies to? Like, is it on US only, or would the Conservancy be able to respond to that?
Yeah, I don't know. We can ask them. I don't know how that works internationally. I don't know how that works. Like, I don't know if they need, yeah, I don't know. We'll have to ask them. I would imagine they're probably an international organization, but I don't know for sure if that applies to like all countries or if it's only specific countries and they have to like individually get nonprofit status everywhere. All right, let's see. Other blog posts we're working on. Gregory, you wrote a fantastic blog post on security backdrop stuff. I don't know if the names in there aren't going to be okay to get published. Would it be okay to rework that to exclude them?
Actually, it got reviewed 2 weeks ago. So we started doing it to demonstrate how fast things go in a big organization. Anyways, it's still under process, but I think they wouldn't mind publishing the article on b.org first because it's just like we need to. I'll have a discussion with the managing director today. He's in, and I'll probably publish it.
Okay.
If not today.
That'd be great. And then there's a bunch of other stuff we're working on too, like DDEV just had an article a week ago about how to get started with Backdrop and DDEV, which I think is great. We've got a commitment from Fastly to provide CDN services for all of the Backdrop properties, so I would love to get some help setting that up and then maybe promoting that partnership a little bit more would be great. I don't know, there is a Fastly module for Drupal that we could port to Backdrop as part of that. I don't know that that's necessary, but it might be a good faith thing to do for them if it's not going to be a ton of work, which I don't think it will be. To write up as part of that blog post too. So that's coming down the pipe. There's obviously our community spotlights. There's been a bunch of new contributors to Backdrop recently who I thought would be nice to highlight. So I added a few more names to the list of people in the community spotlight I'd love to get interviewed if they are interested. So I don't know if Tom is still working on that or not, but it might be good to check in with him and see if he needs some help. Maybe we can get some other people writing up those posts too, if anyone's interested. Nate, you also wanted to write up a blog post around your PMC involvement specifically for Conservancy stuff. I don't know if you want to just write a bulleted list outline, we could get the folks at Facet.
Yeah, I know. It's embarrassing.
It's so hard to write content, even when you only have to write a list. I'm in the same boat.
Yeah.
It's not embarrassing. Join the club. It's not embarrassing. Deal with it. Live with it.
All right, newsletters. So I think I mentioned before the meeting that we have a draft of the Backdrop 110 newsletter. I don't know if that went out already. I know I saw it, but I don't know if what I saw was only a draft of the actual newsletter. If it was only a draft, we definitely need to get that out. So I will check on that and see where we are. And then I think we should send another newsletter along with our Conservancy blog post, even if it's just the announcement blog post. I think that would be great. And then if we wanted to do a newsletter specifically talking about our security practices, I think that would have been a little more timely a month or two ago. But that we could coordinate that with the release of the new security page on backdropcms.org and then say, if you're curious about our security practices, go read this page. It also could be a second item in a newsletter. If we had a newsletter that was a little thin, we could just add a little announcement about adding the security section. at the bottom of one of those other newsletters. Same thing with the Fastly, DDEV, and CiviCRM. Anything in general that Backdrop integrates with, I think would make a good second item for a newsletter, but maybe not a main item. But if we have enough of them, we could put them all into one newsletter, and we could have one newsletter specifically focused on Backdrop's integration with other things. So that might be an option to handle those too. Is there anything else that we should be telling people about, either via our blog or via newsletter, that we haven't been focused on? Do you guys have any ideas? Okay, if you do, let us know. All right, so another thing we would like to start working on is creating more videos on Backdrop. I saw in the chat today, I think Mike mentioned that it would be great if we could get a video on how to upgrade from Drupal 7. I'm not sure how long that video would be, like how much detail we want to go into. I think it would be great if we could have a really feature-rich, detailed video on that, but that might take a lot of production time in order to make something like that. Whereas most of the other videos we're working on are just kind of turn on your screen and record what you do and then stop it and you're done. But if anyone is working on a Drupal 7 to Backdrop upgrade and wants to make a video, or at least take notes on what they did that might be suitable for use in a video, that I think would be something that people find really valuable, especially people who are considering moving to Backdrop, if they're concerned about how much work it would be. Having a video on how to do that would probably increase their confidence. So that's a good idea there. Also, we were asked specifically how to update Pantheon sites, because the Pantheon interface is tailored for Drupal. I have a couple sites that I haven't updated to 110 yet, so I could do a quick video on how to use the Pantheon dashboard and which buttons don't work and what to do instead. So that might be something that we could knock out right now. And then there are a bunch of people who have ported modules to Backdrop but are a little bit confused about how to port the tests over, because they're a little different in Backdrop than they were in Drupal. And I thought that might also be helpful for people to do a video on how to port the tests part of the module over. So again, things are on my to-do list, but if anyone else wanted to do them, that would be really nice. And then anything else that we could use videos on. I've mentioned in the last few meetings, I would like to do a video on how to do unbranded pages. That's something that we point out when we do our live demo during our talk. And I think it's a kind of a lesser known fact that will make marketers really happy, which would also help sell Backdrop. But if there's anything else you think we should show off, like we have a bunch of new features now. We could make little videos about like how to use the scheduler tool that went into 110, or how to use the comment closer. And those might make nice additions to the Backdrop site as well. We have a place on the homepage for features, like why people might choose to use Backdrop. And any feature we add to core is probably worthy of a little feature promo on the site where we could include a photo or a video there. So that could be something that could be useful. Also good, it's good content for tweeting or sharing on social media to just kind of get people to take another look at Backdrop. I tried to do a better job with this latest release after the blog post came out, taking the screenshots from the blog post and tweeting those, be like, here's the new features in Backdrop, which I don't know why I didn't think of earlier, but we didn't. But videos there would also be super compelling. So if anyone wanted to work on those videos, this would be good too. Are you guys hearing a horrible grinding noise? They're doing some serious construction across the street, and I'm finding it very distracting. It's okay for you guys? Okay. I don't know. That noise is making it all the way through the internet, but it's definitely distracting me. Okay, stop for a minute. All right, so other things we can be working on to spread the word about Backdrop includes better tweeting. So we have an issue in the backdropcms.org queue, issue number 439, where it's kind of a bullet list of things we might want to share via Twitter. If there are things we shouldn't be sharing via Twitter, also let us know that there. I'm just kind of trying to make, a tweet or two a day show up in our scheduled posts. But sometimes people are like, why are you tweeting so much about Lando and DDAV? And I'm like, oh, maybe that's overkill. So definitely feedback on what we should and shouldn't be tweeting is welcome. Yeah, I think kind of more features about Backdrop are going to be good, but coming up with a list of things to share is also hard for me. So if anyone has any ideas and wants to drop it in the issue, it would be much appreciated. Let's see, where has Backdrop been recently? That's not backdropcms.org. I guess most recently we've had a little, what was it called? The CMS Smorgasbord review on the Linux Journal. What was that? Video podcast thing, which is pretty cool. Cooking with Linux, I think is what it's called. And I would love to see more stuff like that. I don't know who's in charge of making those, but I love sort of the like first impression thing. I would also love to see kind of a more comprehensive comparison of something on different platforms, like a deep dive into content editing, something like that. So I don't know who's doing those, but if anyone knows anyone who's doing stuff like that and we can get Backdrop on their list of things to compare, that would be pretty cool. So just going to throw that out there. Anyone have any other ideas of where we should be promoting Backdrop on other websites or otherwise? No. I was thinking it might be time for another article in Drupal Watchdog. It's been a while since Backdrop has had a write-up there, and there's been a ton of stuff that's happened to Backdrop since those last readers have last seen that. So I might reach out to them and see what they're working on, if they've got a new version coming out soon or not. I don't know how that's going, but we can check on it. Events. So last week, Nate and I were at Twin Cities Drupal Camp, and we ran into a bunch of people there, like Matthew Tift, who did the Hacking Culture series of podcasts on Backdrop, which was really great. Nate pointed out that we actually, what do they call it, alpha tested the idea of forking Drupal back in 2015, was it, at Twin Cities Drupal Camp. So there's a little nostalgia there for us when we go back. We're like, oh, this is where the idea first launched. But we did a training there on Thursday, which went really well. We did a session on Saturday that was pretty well attended. People in Minnesota are very nice. We like them. I felt the whole thing went over very nicely. I was slightly disappointed by the lack of women's t-shirts, but other than that, I was thrilled with the whole event.
Were any of the sessions recorded?
Yes, all of the sessions were recorded, and they should all be online. Kevin Thole was there. He did his usual record all the sessions and get them all up immediately, which was great.
Regarding the recordings, our session was recorded, which went really well. But we also did an all-day training, which unfortunately was not recorded, in which we live upgraded a module from Drupal 7 to Drupal 8, Drupal 8 to Drupal 7 to Backdrop, which is actually even more excellent because we followed the instructions, and turns out we were the third group of people to port the menu attributes module. So we actually had we kind of picked up the breadcrumbs of other ports and then put them all together. It was kind of fun.
Thank you, Dave Burns.
Yeah, and I think St. Paul Tim noted that we should put that into the contrib group, because otherwise someone will port it a fourth time probably. Yeah, so that's in progress.
It went pretty well. We found one problem that I think was a problem in Drupal 7 as well, that Nate, with his superior form API knowledge, is like, oh, I'll just fix this while I'm in here. But then it ended up throwing off a couple of our attendees. They're like, I'm feeling rather intimidated by all of that Form API knowledge you had. And we're like, well, this is not Backdrop specific. This is just Drupal.
Yeah, the Form APIs. Well, the form wasn't written very well in the first place, and that made. And I was trying to do it as quickly as possible, and maybe I could have made it more clear had I rewritten a large chunk of it. But that probably wouldn't have been any more encouraging, you know.
No.
So I was using like pound parents, and like nobody knows what that does. So
yeah, I didn't even know what that is. I was like, oh yeah, pound tree. You're like pound tree and pound parents. I'm like, pound parents, what?
Yeah, it was messy.
Yeah, it was great. And all the students were like, we have no idea what this is. We're like, but look, we ported the module in an hour, and it was just, you know, nothing to now working code and like ready to release. And they were like, I'm intimidated. We're like, oh, yeah, because that wouldn't have taken any of you an hour. It probably would have been, you know, a little more Googling, but it went over really well, I thought, considering they wanted to see a live module port. They got a pretty good taste of how it actually works and the problems you might run into and how to solve them. So, yeah, it was good. All right, so somebody needs to write up a recap of Twin Cities Drupal Camp. I guess that's probably going to be me, but I can't do it today or tomorrow, so maybe we'll look at doing that next week. Trying to figure out if there was anyone else there I could ask to do it, but I don't think we saw very many Backdrop people there, so it'll probably be me. I'll write it up maybe next week. And then the next upcoming Backdrop event is, oh, I don't know. There's a bunch of events coming up in the next months, but I'm not sure if anyone's doing any specific Backdrop talks or sessions or blocks. There's Drupal Camp Chattanooga and Drupal Camp Asheville, Drupal Camp Costa Rica, Drupal Camp Colorado. There's a whole bunch of stuff that are kind of in the coming months, but I didn't want to put them on our upcoming events list until we were sure that the organizers would appreciate that and that attendees would be interested in hearing about Backdrop we're talking about. So, more soon. We don't know what they are yet. If anyone is interested in the bigger content strategy for Backdrop, there is a link on the backdropcms.org queue. It's issue number 349. So if you like creating content, most of us don't, but if you do, we have a list of the kinds of content that we would like and the general formats we would like to have it in. So things like whether it should be a blog post or a video or a newsletter. And we would love help creating any of that content as well as distributing it. If you know anywhere, you know, you have a blog, you want to write a blog post or your own blog, or you want to submit a blog post to a different website, any of that is all welcome. We're more than happy to help facilitate that however possible. I think the more content we can get out there about Backdrop, the better. All right, is there anything else we need to talk about?
With regards to that features things that you said for our website,
yes.
Do you think that it would deserve like a separate item on the main menu?
Maybe. So
if we had enough content. I mean, if we had several.
Yeah. Right now we have a content type, and our designs show on the homepage like a sort of a carousel where we would pick the 5, you know, most popular ones or newest or most exciting or whatever it is. But I think we should have some kind of a more link that goes somewhere else. And that could definitely be, I mean, I don't know where it's going to go in the menu system. I think
that I have actually created a view and I have updated that, but it must have been like 1 year ago. It's like, we discussed this. Things are coming back to me now. Sorry.
I think we have the page. I don't know where we should put it though. I mean, top level seems like if it's compelling enough content, we can have it there.
Yeah, because like we have add-ons which explain what modules, themes, and layouts contribute there. But we should showcase stuff that are there out of the box. And if we could sort of like I don't know, have a way to prompt the users to choose a persona, like I'm coming from Drupal 7, what is there that's new or improved, or I'm considering Drupal 8, so what features that are already in Drupal 8. So if that's for like maybe a second step, but I think first step is like to get this done, like the more section or the more elaborate pages for those features with screenshots and what have you.
Yeah,
I'd be interested in that.
Absolutely. Anything else anyone wants to bring up?
We had an announcement today that the Drupal South thing, the annual thing that happens here in Australia, is going to happen December 3rd, 5th.
Okay.
I'm considering of applying for a session. It will be awesome, like 2 years after, sort of.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't know. I have to speak to. It's a funny situation with the, yeah. I have been not officially, but you know, as a joke, told like, you know, we do Drupal.
Well, if nobody else has anything else, let's go ahead and wrap this meeting, and then we will chat again in 20 minutes to talk about development tasks. And if you have any ideas between now and then, even if they're outreach related, feel free to bring them up in the open Q&A section of the developer. All right, thanks everybody for coming.
All right, thank you.
Hey, Jen.